lost you there, Peter.
Oh no.
Okay, there you are.
Okay. All right, now we're recording, so we can
Okay.
get started. Okay, so does anybody want to have anything to say about Class Dojo?
Yeah, well, I had not, I hadn't encountered Class Dojo yet, so it was nice to take some time to set my classes up and go through. I did a little tutorial and just kind of learned the various options, and I really like Class Dojo. I like the toolkit that it offers. Just a quick access to a timer, to the think, pair, share. You can just type in a quick question and display it quickly on the board. The random group maker is great. Those kind of tools. The noise meter, of course. Those kind of things are great. And then it does. I think it works as a nice incentive system for monitoring positive class behavior. If you were to display the class, and then if say they were working on a class activity, and you just kind of were able to assign points based on whether they're on task or they're helping others or they're displaying good teamwork, those kind of things. Yeah, it's pretty nifty tool.
Yeah, I agree. I've never used it, and I felt like after looking at the tutorial and reading a lot about it, that it was a great way to look at data, inspire positive behavior. I like the point system, and I noticed that multiple classes could use it, different teachers, but the students still only had one code, which I thought was a really good feature. And yeah, it's a great way to keep a positive classroom and the kids working towards good behaviors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also appreciate how you can set up the different groups within a class. That's a great setting. And then probably for me, the number one thing is just the collaboration with parents that it affords. It encourages you with those downloadable and printable invitations. To send those home with the kids and get the parents to sign up, and then the parents can access the dojo just as easily as the kids can, so they can keep daily track of their kids' points and their kids' portfolio and those kind of things. So yeah, really neat.
I guess I'm the only one that actually uses Class Dojo. So in my school, I teach all of the primary students. So it's 12 classes. I have access to all the homeroom teachers' Class Dojos, and it's kind of nice. I can see if the kids are having a problem before they come to me, so I can know, maybe I can pay special attention to them, or if the class as a whole did really well before they came to see me, we can start with something more fun than we normally do. I do know that it probably doesn't work so well for Marlene in her high school class to have this type of reward system. Maybe. But I know in the primary school it is really helpful.
Yeah, I was wondering about secondary, if it would be as it would be for the primary.
Yeah. But there are good things.
That was also one of my concerns.
Yeah. It is good. It is a good way to keep the parents informed in a friendlier way than having to call and say, "Oh, Johnny was being blah blah blah." The parents can look and see that Johnny lost a lot of points today, so they can say, Johnny, what were you doing wrong? What what do you need to work on next time? So it's a little nicer that way for the kids, as getting them to stick with rules and procedures in class.
Peter, since you use Class Dojo and it sounds like your whole school does,
Yeah.
what does the other side look like? What does it look like for the student when they sign up? When you print out that little Scantron and they can just scan in and they have access to, I think it was like a learning portfolio or a digital portfolio.
To be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure what it looks like, but there is, so when the student looks in, they'll get like I'm showing it on the screen right now, you guys can't see obviously. They
I have my
can,
Class Dojo up.
oh, you do okay, so there's hang on. There's a student account thing. No, it doesn't show it. But it shows like there's a ring of their behavior, So each reward or punishment. So there's the positives, so they'll get like a point for working hard, or they'll for participating. And then there's the needs work. This one, it on the demo it just says 0 instead of minus points, but there will be a ring, and there will be like red or green of what they did. So they got 3 points for working hard. They got minus 1 point for not working hard, not staying on task. And then it'll break it down, and the parents or the student can look at it from a weekly perspective, or the month, or throughout the year, to show, are they improving or going down, So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do. I appreciate that. It's got the pie graph on top, and then it has a list of the individual, a scroll, a list of all the different or punishments,
Yeah.
As it goes down. That's great.
I've been trying to avoid the punishment word, but it makes so much sense.
I was trying to think of different words.
Yeah.
Correcting of challenging behavior.
Absolutely, yes.
So during class, is that when you would assess them? You would give them a point or their points during class, or is this something you do after?
In my class, so I'll bring up the class's dojo before they come in, and it'll be up throughout the day. And I think most of the teachers will do, so they're all working hard reading, and they finish their reading assignment, and they're waiting patiently. They'll get, as a group, 3 points or something. If a kid is like, chatting with another student when they shouldn't be, I would give a warning before I took away a point. But if they continue to do it instead of disrupting the class again, I would make that negative point sound. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just like a reminder to get back on task. So you can do it at the beginning or the end of class, like if you're checking to see if everybody gave their homework. You can also do it during the class, since mostly it's up on everybody's computer screen in the classroom.
So it has like visual and audible cues for the students?
Yes.
That's really a good positive. Okay.
Yeah. And I think,
Or disadvantages?
I'm sorry?
Are there any disadvantages for using it in the classroom?
I have found usually when, certain students, if you're taking points from them, some of the students, maybe they'll they'll act out more if they're losing points, and then last year was the first year we started using it, and some of the students had negative points, and those kids were kind of like, I already have negative 10 points. What's the point of doing a good job now? So this year we're not. This year we started. Everybody had at least 30 points, and we are not going below 0 this year. So. Yeah.
I really like the dojo, the class dojo. I wish that we could incorporate some of the positives of like a Google Classroom, and I also use this grading application called Kaizena. Have you guys checked out Kaizena?
No.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's connected to Google Classroom. It's a Google app. It's you can sign your class up just like any of these apps, but it's a place where they can upload their work. So most of our work is digital, at least at high school level. I teach English language arts, so they're doing a lot of writing, and so when they write an essay, they can upload this essay, and it gives me a chance to. It has all of their work in one place, and I can even do voice feedback, which is really nice when my hands get tired of typing. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, I just thought this class dojo is great. It would be really cool if it incorporated things like how Google Classroom has the ability to disseminate resources through the whole class, by uploading a document and things like that.
There are some features that you can add. So there's like add stories where maybe not a document. I haven't used it as that, but so I can say, everybody did really good in art class today. Here's some photos, so that the parents and the students of each class can take a look. And the students also, when the student creates their own personal account, they can post some stories. So like, in math class today, we learned a new way to remember something, and it's like this. So there's that kind of like Facebook, like they can post things and pictures, that style thing.
Yeah, I like that stories feature. That's what I was thinking. It's just like having your own classroom Facebook.
Yeah.
The app that I looked up, Super Duper Data Tracker, had nothing really to do with behavior. It just tracks, it's like a reporting system that tracks students' goals. And if they're able to respond to the questions or the goals parents how to see as well.
Now this application, it was available for purchase like for like a Google Chrome application or.
Oh, okay.
I think he was asking you.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no problem.
For the phones, so it just seemed like it was either like an iPhone, iPad, or Android app.
Okay,
It was just an app, yeah.
just an app. Okay,
It
okay.
looked easy to use, like kind of straightforward. You put the names in, they went into groups, you had to do it daily. If you, like, let's say the student was absent and didn't get points for that day,
Mhm.
on it would show a 0 point. So you couldn't, like, say the student was absent, or so the graph would be off, obviously, which I thought was a very poor way to report data.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the graphics on it was very, I don't know, I thought it was very unprofessional. It seemed like very cartoony for me personally. Since I work with high school students, I was kind of surprised at the app had with the teacher was putting, definitely not student driven, so it was very unprofessional in my opinion. You know, if you needed to keep that kind of data on multiple students, so if you had like students with, you know, multiple goals, that's a lot of data that you have to track. So it looked like it would be something that would be positive and easy to use. The use of it seems really easy, especially from the phone or if you're working with your iPad. Very easily.
Would you use this
Pretty
in?
much all I found.
Would you use this in your classroom?
Go ahead.
Would you use this in your classroom?
Personally, would not use this in my classroom. No. Yeah. No, I didn't see any like really positives for the students per se. Like the dojo, I feel like that was something that the students would be more interacting with. So I don't think I would use the system unless, you know, the students who have IEPs or need specific data, then I would use it.
Okay. Do you want to talk about yours, Bradley, or you want me to talk about mine?
Oh no, I can go ahead. I can
Yeah.
go for it. Yeah, so the tool that I chose to look at actually was just quite simple. I thought maybe it was going to be something a little bit more exciting, but it was just simply I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I don't think it's going to show very well on my camera. But
I have the
it's,
I have the original one that we were supposed to look at, but you couldn't.
yeah, so we
Right.
were supposed to look at what is called the best sand timer.
Right.
And that one is for Mac, for an iPad or an iPhone, iOS device. And I unfortunately cannot afford any of those devices. So have one of those devices. But this is the second best option I found. It was a sand timer that was available for Android. And these applications are pretty useful and quite simple. They are kind of eye appealing and catchy though, and so you can easily put in any time. This isn't really showing up very well, is it? But you can put in the time, change the time.
I can see it.
5 seconds or as many as 10 hours, and just click start, and you've got yourself a nifty little timer to time activities. As a teacher over the years, the necessity of timers to keep me on track as well as to keep the students on track, and to make sure we're really spending only the amount of time that I really want to spend for a particular activity. And I've even used these types of timers. Timer is another one that usually is set at 25 minutes, but you can change that time. I use them even when I'm going to teach a lesson to ensure that I don't go over about 15 minutes so my poor students don't fall asleep. So this is just a good standard sand timer. The students can all download one. My students do usually, as high schoolers, they usually do have their phones. There are procedures in class for how they're to use them, but they can all download an app like this and have their own timer working if need be, or this is something I can just set up on the screen and ask them accountable for like an activity or something like that. So that's it.
So if you used Class Dojo, do you think you would also use this one?
So I noticed that Class Dojo, I haven't used Class Dojo yet. This was my first chance to look at it. I noticed that it's got its own timer. So some of these other apps, a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
Brad, do you think you would use Class Dojo with high school students?
I've been debating that all day today. so I set my 4 classes up and on Class Dojo, and so I'm ready. And I printed out the little poster where they can come and scan in, using the application. So I'm thinking about using one of my classes as kind of a trial run and see how it works for them.
Okay. Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Do you find any disadvantages when you use a timer, like in class? Because I know, like, for specific students that have maybe like anxiety or even ADHD students, being timed is just probably one of the worst things for them, especially coming from the math side. A lot of time tests, they have a specific short period of time to be able to do a quiz, like trig functions. That's a time. You have exactly 1 minute to give me 10 answers off the inner circle. They absolutely hate that.
Yeah.
But it's part of life.
Yeah, right. Well, I find myself timing activities that usually are more low stakes, and so they don't cause as much anxiety. Really, for me, my timer is used just to keep our class timing and pace on track. So maybe 3 minutes for bell work. So just a quick little opening exercise. Maybe 15 minutes for a particular activity that I've already deemed ahead of time. Like I already know ahead of time the 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it is that I give should be plenty of time for everybody. Usually what I find is students will complete it early, and then I'll kind of have something that I know I'm going to send them off to do when they complete early. Usually when I'm doing a quiz or a test, I don't have any timer being shown for that, so no one has to look at a timer and feel that extra anxiety from that.
Okay.
In my class, I have to set a timer. It's we have to clean up at a certain time, and we only have 35 minutes every class. So there's always like a timer for like the last 10 minutes of working time. I'll set it up there, no pressure, but just so they can see and they know when the bell rings, like we need to put our stuff away, we need to, if I don't, then the kids will continue to color or continue to do something that when we should be cleaning up. And I don't want to clean up after them, so. Also, during if it's not a day when I'm introducing something new, I promise the kids that I will only talk for 3 minutes in the beginning of class, and then they can talk for the rest of the class. So I time them, and I also time myself. So, so there's that. So it seems fair, and they don't, like last year I didn't time so much, and cleanup time was a lot of a disaster, so I found that definitely have to clean this year, or do the timer this year.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so my app, also, I picked the Smart Seat app, which is iPad, iPhone, all of that. But I went to open it, and it was $4.99, and I really didn't want to pay for it. So I found an app that was comparable, and it's called Seats. Just almost the exact same thing. Let's see if you can see this. It's very similar to the Smart Seats, except it's just not as beautiful. So I picked a class, named it art, and then I put 25 students in there. I don't think you guys can really see it. I can pick how I want the class to be arranged. I can do rows of 5 students in each row, and then it'll show the students. It'll show the students what row they're in. You can randomize it, so if they're in different groups. My class is set in groups, so I picked another way to do it, groups of 4, and then you can, every 6 weeks we change our unit, so every 6 weeks they'll have a new group. So I can just randomly select, because the girls will cry if they don't get to sit with their other girlfriends, and the boys will, certain boys will fight with each other if they sit next to each other. So, or they'll get mad if I'm like, oh, I let these 2 friends sit together, but not these 2 friends. So a good way to do that is random. So I found this to be quite helpful, and a nice way to memorize or to keep it, because when I write the seats down on a seating chart and I leave it out somewhere, then it'll disappear, I find. So it's better to have on my phone. Do you guys have any seating chart apps, or do you do assigned seating in your classes?
I don't have a class right now, so no.
When I teach middle school, I always do assigned seating. With my older high schoolers, my juniors and seniors, I found that I can usually kind of let them choose a seat. They're usually creatures of habit, like most of us are, and so they'll just usually sit in that same seat, class after class. Only on occasion have I had to tell a high schooler, you know what, next time you come into class, you're not sitting next to this person. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the seating app doesn't need too many questions. But I think we're good on the time. Do you guys have anything else to say?
So.
All right. Well, I'll stop the recording.